What if Marvel and DC's cosmology was structured like tokusatsus? It sounds like a weird idea at first, but like thinking about it, imagine like DC as the more Kamen Rider related ones where it's like individual hero based stories, and Marvel as more of the Super Sentai with this more team oriented stories. Like that could be really, really interesting. And also, it would allow stuff like the original 7 members of the Justice League to still be in the same universe, because the original 7 writers from the Showa era, pretty much the golden age of superheroes for, comic book stuff, they all existed in the same universe. But who also exists in that universe was the Super Sentai and Metal Heroes. Now, Super Sentai in this case would obviously be Marvel, and obviously after that their multiverses kind of like splintered off, one half Kamen Rider, one half Super Sentai. But the point is that imagine that for DC, like there's just each of these individual worlds that have their own forms of like world building, all centered around one superhero each for each of those universes. And then you have stuff like their Super Sentai equivalent for Marvel, where each of these stories are kind of each of these teams kind of have their own like worlds and stuff. But like imagine, also they cross over pretty frequently too. Spider-Man would be probably the least affected by this, by the way, because there already is a tokusatsu Spider-Man. You can just kind of just give Spider-Man his own lineage, just have the Spider-Verse be its own like hero legacy, kind of similar to the Kamen Riders as well. I mean, they're both bug heroes anyways, so. Then you could potentially put in interesting things like anniversary heroes, because both Super Sentai and Kamen Rider both have characters who are anniversary characters who represent earlier heroes through either their abilities, the theme of their series, or etc. And imagine if Marvel and DC each had one, and like every single once every single year they had a crossover between the two different franchises. Even writers from different universes crossover with other writers. It's pretty interesting. I feel like it could be cool. It could be cool, I'm just saying. But there was another name I mentioned, which is Metal Heroes, which is also in that universe. But who would be that Metal Heroes equivalent? I feel like it would be Image Comics. I feel like that's the only real other option you could have put there. I feel like characters like Spawn, Invincible, Savage Dragon, I feel like those types of characters are just characters that could appear. Even though they would appear less than the others, I feel like they would be equally as interesting to see in these types of stories. And also, it just would be interesting crossover-wise. So, I mean, take this as you will. This is just me, randomly getting this idea. I don't know where this came from. But I feel like it could be cool, right? It could be a cool thing in theory if they did something. I feel like the idea actually does have a lot of potential, even though this will never be implemented. I feel like it would be kind of cool if people wanted to help me flesh it out. I feel like it's just a cool thought to have, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. That's why I randomly thought about it. I mean, imagine, sidekicks from, DC being, the secondary writers and stuff like that.